Hey guys, hope you guys are all doing well. So I'm just gonna hop into our literacy block plan final. So this will be mine. I'm gonna share my screen with you so we can go with this through this together. All right, here we are. Okay, so task one for the group placements. So how I decided to split them up was really based on the class average scores in accuracy, words per minute, and comprehension. So if I place the students in the below grade level, that is because they were below in all three areas. So I found the average for each thing by adding up all the totals, and dividing by 23. And then if they are at the on level grade, that means they were still struggling in some areas, but not all of them. And then if they were in advanced reader, they were above in everything. So basically, I have the students in each three categories, and then the reasoning why I placed them. So obviously, for the below level, the reason is that all three of their scores were below. And then for the advanced, it's the same reason, but all their three scores were above. So and then for the on level, there was one reason or another why they were there and not in the below or advanced. So like George, his comprehension level is average and his accuracy is close to the class average. Or Kelly's accuracy and words per minute are pretty good, but she still needs to work on comprehension. So that is how I decided to split the students up into those groups, deciding their skill level. And then if we go down here, we have our task 2. Hopefully this would take about 23 minutes. As class, we will read Two Hungry Elephants by Vida Jimenez. But before we read the story as class, I'll do a picture walk with the class. So really what that means is that I will show them the pictures of the story and the cover, but I will not reveal the words to them, and then they have to think what's going on in the story. So first I would have them turn and talk to their partners at their tables and have them discuss what they think is going on. And then after a few minutes, I would have them share with me what their partner came up with. Them and their partner came up with what's going on in the story. So then after that happens, I'd be like, let's find out and see if any of you guys were right. So then we would read the story together, and then after we have read the story together, I'll ask them some questions to answer together. Some of the questions being, what is the message of the story? What problem were they trying to solve? How did they solve the problem? How can we work together to make our lives better? And below are the standards that those questions kind of encompass and the activities we are doing. So on to task 3. This is targeted instruction. So this would probably be roughly about 45 minutes. So I would split the groups up into, or the kids up into several different groups. Now the groups aren't based upon skill because I don't want the kids to feel like, oh, I'm not in the smart group, or I'm really not smart because I'm in the low group. So I would do flexible grouping, which means that I would have some high, some low, some at, students all in one group, and so that way they really don't know. They'd all be working on the same thing at each station. But while those, or some examples of the stations would be stamping spelling words. So I'd have stamps with letters, and then they would stamp the words. Scrabble spelling using Scrabble pieces and counting up the pieces about how much their word is worth. Rainbow writing, that's where you use different colored pens and kind of silly pens to write the words. It's fun. They like that. And then sequencing, so that would be like I would print out pictures from the story with the words on the back, and they would have to order according to the pictures. So that recalls comprehension from the story, and then they can check the work by flipping it over. Or they can write to themselves or journal how they thought about the story. Silly sentences, so they would pull out a vocab word, and then they would pull out a object, and then they would have to make a sentence out of those two. Lots of things like that. But then while the groups are working on their stations, I will put different students from each group based on their skill to work with in the back of the room. So I will pull all of the high-leveled readers from each group. So it'll probably be 1 to 2 students to work with in the back on their skill level. So for the higher level readers, I would work on higher level vocabulary words with this group. So first I would introduce the list of words to them, and then I would ask them what they might think that means. So that engages in conversation, brainstorming, like kind of critical thinking. And then after we discuss what we think, then I'll actually go over the definitions. And after we go over the definitions, I want them to write a sentence for each vocab word, but then I also want them to illustrate the sentence. So that really gets the visual learners engaged too. And then at our at-level readers, when I would pull them, I would focus more on comprehension, I'd say. I would have the students retell the story that we had just read as class, but kind of more in a fun way. So I'd have them all kind of arranged around me, and then I would start with, let's just say his name is Johnny. Johnny would start with the beginning of the story, then he would popcorn to the next person next to him, then she would say what happened next, and then the next person. So this makes sure that the students are paying attention, so they know where we are in the story, and it really forces them to recall what happened in the story. And then if someone's helping, they can phone a friend, and we can work together to solve what was going on at that point of the story. And then after we had finished retelling the story, I would then have them get out their reading journals, and I would have them imagine if, let's say that the elephants couldn't get the leaves down from the tree, what would they have done? So I would have them journal about that, and they could choose to add illustrations if they wanted. The below level readers, when I pull them for them, I would just have them reread the story together out loud with me, and then while we read, I would stop and ask them questions so that they are really focused on focusing and being able to recall what happens. And if they can't, we can go back together and work as a team to find the textual evidence to support the questions. Like, describe to me what the two different elephants are like. Oh no, sorry, resume sharing. And then, or why were they so hungry? You know, how did they get the leaves off the tree? And then I'd also go over some key vocabulary words in the story. So that brings us to our fourth task, intervention and enrichment. So I believe that it is very important to progress monitor all the students. Tracking them is extremely important. I want my students to learn and grow as much as possible. Also, tracking their progress also helps me assess how I am teaching. So I might need to be flexible on how I'm teaching. If some things help students or if they're really not helping students, I need to be flexible and adjust quickly so students are able to learn. So I would monitor the below level more frequently compared to the other groups. After a week of learning, I would go back and I would assess each of the students. I would say, okay, what worked for them? What are they still struggling with? What are they excelling in? And then I would adjust my future week with them accordingly. And then for the at level and beyond, I would progress track every other week. I would say so. I will assess the students during silent reading time or during the reading stations or even during their snack time, but I also want to respect their snack time because that is their break. I would make these stations a little bit more shorter, or the assessment time a little bit shorter, but efficient. I would also like to record their progress online so that their parents can see where they're at and they can stay informed, and so that they know if they have time to help their students what they can need to work on, and they just know where their students at and how they can help them achieve their goals. Obviously not all parents will be able to work with their students. While that is sad, I will try to find time in our own schedule, like I said, silent reading time, snack time, and any other time frame we can do, just still trying to respect their time for breaks. So yeah, that is my literacy block plan. Yeah, I can't believe that's like our final project, and I just want to thank you for a great semester of classes. I've learned a lot, and I hope you're doing well, and I hope you guys have an awesome summer. Bye.